You wake up and before you've even moved, you're already tired. Your body rises, but your soul, your mind, feels like it's chained to the ground. And maybe no one has ever told you this before, but what you're feeling isn't laziness. It's not weakness. It's something much deeper. And you're not the only one living it. You open your eyes, and everything looks normal. The room, the routine, the endless notifications on your phone dressed up as opportunities. The world shouts motivational slogans at you. You've got this. Push harder. But what if you don't want to? What if you can't? You're not just tired, you're sick. And the illness isn't just in your body. It's in the air we breathe, in the pace we follow, in the invisible expectations society never stops whispering into our ears. Welcome to the Performance Society, a world where the prison has no bars, but it has rules, where no one's yelling at you, yet you feel constantly watched. Not by a boss, not by an enemy, but by yourself. That voice in your head telling you to do more, be more, never stop. That voice isn't yours. It was put there. And that is the greatest trick of all. In this world, suffering hides behind a smile. You look fine. You smile, you say, "I'm good." And no one suspects that you're crumbling inside. The modern world doesn't shout at you to obey. It whispers that you are free, that you can do anything. And that's the cruelest part. When failure hits, you have no one to blame but yourself. You are the manager, the worker, and the slave, all in one. The pressure doesn't come from outside anymore. It seeps from within. Even your hobbies are no longer hobbies, they're goals. Reading must be educational, resting must be productive, sleep must be optimized. Everything, even peace, must serve performance. Positivity, once a source of hope, has turned into poison. Be your best self, they say. Just stay focused. But what if you're too broken to focus? What if you can't even get through breakfast without the weight of the world pressing on your chest? This isn't a motivational slump. It's burnout. Not the kind you can solve with a weekend off. This is existential. This is soul deep. You ask yourself why you feel so guilty when you do nothing. Why silence feels like punishment. Why you can't even relax without mentally preparing for the next task. The truth is, your mind has been hijacked by a system that doesn't care if you break. It only wants you to keep producing until there's nothing left to give. And if this all sounds too familiar, it's not your fault. You've been trained for this, conditioned to believe that slowing down is failure, that resting is wasting. But it's time to break that spell. Because maybe, just maybe, for the first time in your life, someone is telling you you're not weak. You're just a human being in a system that rewards machines. Take a deep breath. This is not a call to work harder. This is a call to wake up. You smile, you post, you say, "I'm fine." But inside something is unraveling. You're holding it together with duct tape and caffeine. And yet, you still feel like a failure. Why? Because today's violence doesn't leave bruises. It leaves burnout. We live in a world where silence is suspicious. Stillness is dangerous. Boredom is labeled as laziness. You are told that you can be anything, but underneath that glittery freedom lies a trap. When everything is up to you, every failure is your fault. Every misstep, a personal defect. And in this society, the punishment isn't prison, it's shame. Even rest has turned into another item on your to-do list. You don't sleep, you optimize. You don't read, you self-improve. You don't breathe, you perform mindfulness. The sacred moments of peace have been hijacked by performance metrics. Your body isn't yours anymore. It's a productivity tool. your mind, a battlefield. Positivity has become a weapon. You're told to smile through the breakdown, to hustle through the grief, to stay grateful even when you're falling apart. But here's the truth. No amount of yoga, gratitude journals, or hustle quotes can fix a broken system. And that's exactly what's eating you alive. You feel like the problem. You blame yourself for being tired, for being unmotivated, for not doing enough. But this isn't about your lack of willpower. It's about a society that thrives on your exhaustion, that sells suffering as self-improvement, that monetizes your pain and labels it growth. You've become a project, a brand, a machine. But machines don't feel. Machines don't bleed. And yet here you are, still expected to smile while you're running on fumes. You're not chasing dreams anymore. You're escaping burnout. The worst part? You think you chose this. You think you turned on the treadmill. But no one tells you that the system was already running long before you stepped onto it. You weren't born this way. You were built this way. The worst part? You think you chose this. You think you turned on the treadmill. But no one tells you that the system was already running long before you stepped onto it. You weren't born this way. You were built this way. But underneath all this noise, there's something you've forgotten. Something ancient, silent, and powerful. The part of you that remembers what it means to just be. To breathe without earning it. To sit without shame. That part is not dead. It's just buried. What if I told you that true freedom isn't found in doing more, but in doing nothing? That the most powerful act of rebellion in today's world is to simply stop? You've been told all your life that freedom means doing, achieving, creating, moving. But that's not freedom. It's slavery dressed in glitter. You're not free if you can't say no. You're not free if every moment has to be justified, monetized, or optimized. When was the last time you did absolutely nothing, without guilt? No phone, no task, no goal, just you and your breath. Can you even remember? We've been trained to fear that stillness, to run from silence, but that silence, that boredom you avoid, is not your enemy. It's a portal. True healing begins in the void, in the moments where nothing is expected, when you allow your mind to wander, to rest, to be human. Byung-Chul Han says that in boredom, creativity is born, spirituality awakens, reflection lives. But in today's world, boredom is burned at the stake. We've been taught that value comes from action. But what if your worth is not in what you do, but in who you are when you're not doing anything? What if the most sacred thing you can do is to not do? The system will call you lazy. Society will label you broken. But in that refusal, in that no, you reclaim your soul. Saying no to hustle, no to endless growth, no to being a brand. That is where freedom begins. You don't need more apps, more hacks, more goals. You need less noise, less pressure, less pretending. And in that subtraction, you'll find something miraculous, yourself. The burnout you're feeling isn't weakness, it's a warning. A red flag from your soul saying, enough. You weren't meant to live at war with yourself. You were meant to exist. And existence, true existence, doesn't need a justification. So here's the final truth. You are not failing. You are awakening to the illusion, to the performance, to the lie that being always busy is the same as being alive. But now, a question remains. If you weren't trying to prove anything, who would you be? You